Welcome to Souls on Tap. I'm Julianne Thon.
And I'm Jennifer Cross.
We are so excited today to introduce our guest, psychic medium Ginger Bayley. Many of you have seen Ginger on Channeling Erik, where she is able to communicate with Erik's spirit on the other side to help those of us who are struggling with our human experience. In addition to her mediumship, Ginger is a Reiki master and a nutritionist fitness coach, and we are so honored to have her on our show. Welcome, Ginger.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
hi, Erik.
Erik saying hi. He's
Thank
saying
you for joining
hello.
us today.
Thank you for having him, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
I just feel so much love and such good energy right now, as I was saying before
Me
we
too.
started.
Right.
You have such an interesting journey to tell as to how you got started and how all of this happened in terms of your mediumship. Can you share your story with
I can.
your past and how you came to be sitting in this chair right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so growing up, I always had ability to see things. I didn't look at it as psychic though. I just knew things. I would see through things, not seeing things with my eyes so much, but just seeing through situations and having understanding for certain things. I did, however, as I was younger, have a lot of invisible friends. And I don't remember all of it, but I do hear stories. You know how moms are, they'll tell the stories and funny things that would happen. But until my my father got sick and passed, I didn't realize that I could actually see and hear spirit in a certain way. And then he showed me that. So after my father passed, I could see and hear him. Um, and then, of course, Erik came in. Now, Erik, I have to tell you, Erik was in my life before my dad even passed, but I didn't find out until later that that was Erik, and he was guiding
Wow.
me towards channeling Erik.
That's
Um,
fascinating.
I've always been interested in the paranormal. I've always read books on being a psychic, which is kind of funny because I was always trying to learn how to do it. But I thought, oh, you got to be born with it. This is something you're born with, and it's only certain people can do this. And with that limitation in my head, it kept me from doing it for so long. But then I learned different, once I could see and hear my father when he passed. Um, Also, with Erik, what had happened right before, just probably about 2 months before my dad passed, I was filming a little puppy that my mom had bought for my dad. And there was all of a sudden, and I've seen orbs on TV. I think a lot of people have that watch paranormal things, right?
Mhm.
But never in real life with my own eyes. And so I'm filming this puppy playing, and all of a sudden this orb comes up. It just comes straight across the floor right towards me, knocks the ball out of the puppy's mouth. It was really funny. I was just like, even the puppy like kind of looked like, what was that? And then starts running towards me, like coming towards me. Right. So
That's
after that,
so sweet.
yeah, I got obsessed after that a little bit with like kind of like, oh, I can get orbs, I've never seen that before. And I started looking back in some other videos and slowing them down and noticing other orbs. Um, so later on, I found out that this was Erik, and
Ah,
um, and started connecting the dots. And so I started watching the channel and became friends with Elisa and Jennifer, a few of the people on there, part of it. And it's kind of funny because when I started doing this and I started working on it and teaching myself, my mother, one of my biggest cheerleaders, was like, you need to let Elisa know, maybe you can work with her. I'm like, oh no, she's so busy. She has everybody, that she needs. And I just like put it off. So this was kind of funny. She had called me the next morning, like we were talking about this next morning. She comes, she goes, don't be mad. Now, when a sentence starts with don't be mad, I kind of
Right.
wonder
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, mom. And so she had written a long, nice, sweet letter to Elisa. And Lisa knew who she was too, because we'd just been part of the, group, the Channeling Erik group for a while. And she was telling her about me. So right away, Elisa wanted to meet me, and it just took off from there. So And that's how I got started with channeling Erik, and the way I got started doing this, being a psychic medium. And I did work on trying to find help, like training, like someone to help me, but I could never find something that would really give me what I needed to feel
Sure.
what it felt like, right? And then I found out later about that was that I needed to go down that, with anything in life, I needed to go down that path because I was meant to teach what I do. And it was easier for, me to teach it in a way that needed to be taught because I knew how, what the struggles were when I was trying to learn
And by
it.
the way, if I can just interject, Ginger is also a wonderful mentor and instructor in mediumship as well. I know because I have taken a class from her, and she's just a delight, and she's lovely, and teaches with so much love, and it's beautiful. So, light workers out there, if you're interested, get in touch with Jennifer on her website and let her know.
Yeah, Ginger.
Did I see? Okay. So I'm going to
It's
say
okay.
it now.
Lisa does it too.
Jennifer and Ginger, they're too similar. I'm gonna screw it up. So
don't worry about it.
Don't please don't shoot me in the comments. Okay.
Everyone will know. Everyone will know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, Ginger. So, I get into intuitive hits, and and I know I don't channel or anything, but I get intuitive hits, and I always question it. How can you differentiate between the intuitive messages that you receive during the readings? How do you know that they're real, and how do you know that you're not being biased and making it up or something else?
That's a great question. And that is a very popular question with those who are trying to learn how to channel. And I want to explain a little bit. Some people maybe don't know the difference between channeling or just talking to spirit, but it is kind of one and the same. Some people separate it out as being different, but just to let people know that are watching that channeling is just the information coming in and you telling it, or it can be translated. But sometimes people will feel like channeling is when you're speaking their words directly out. So it just depends on how each medium looks at it. So, I just thought maybe I would let people know that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
But
yeah.
When you're trying to learn the difference, okay, there's a few things that you can do. First of all, you need to learn to trust, so you need to practice. So the more you practice, the more you get confidence in what's coming in. But there are other things that you can do. There's these cards that I have that you can get. There's cards that you can get that you can practice with. They're the ESP cards that you can get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then also we all have an inner voice. So find your inner voice. Okay. Say something to yourself to feel where your inner voice is. And usually spirit will come outside of that, inside the mind, but outside of that, or on the body, like you'll feel something. Everybody, I guess you could say, channels in a way. They're getting spiritual information. Most people, it comes as ideas or thoughts at first until they learn to focus on it more. So I would say to get better at trusting that voice is really going to be practicing getting validation back. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So you practice, and then you kind of identify what your feelings are around it. So if you feel it, then you know you feel it and where you feel it. If you hear it, then you know if it's inside or outside where you hear it, kind of thing.
Right. And you'll get used to the way that the spiritual information comes in. You get used to it by practicing, like, oh, I just know, like, I know how it feels. I know when that information comes in. I know that that's my guides coming in with that, or someone's loved one, whoever you're tuning into. And you just get so used to it by doing it over and over and getting validation back. I would say, and I usually tell people that about 80% of the information coming into your mind, the thoughts that you're having and feelings that you're having, are that aren't your active thoughts, are from either somebody else's energy you're in the room with or spirit giving you information. It's a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a great answer.
And I have also heard that one of the biggest mistakes we make because we all have some sort of ability to channel to a certain extent, is to stop thinking, stop the chatter in the mind, and let that go and just breathe. And then the information will come differently. So I have a question for you, Ginger. Has once you excuse me, once you started working on channeling Erik, did you find that that affected the way that you channeled? Did it help you? Did it change the way you channeled?
You know, it didn't. It didn't really change the way I did it, but it did help in a way of getting more experience.
Mm-hmm.
So this is always, I mean, with anything in life, including what I'm doing with channeling, everything's always a journey and you're learning on the way. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
it all.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got on with channeling Erik, I did learn a lot more about what some abilities that I had that I never thought about. So you learn
Mm-hmm.
more in that aspect. I will say that one thing that got me feeling really confident, because I couldn't find a lot of people to practice on, because my tribe is very small as in who
Mm-hmm.
believes in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and then usually it's hard if it's someone you have to get information about people you don't know, so you get validation that it's spirit, not something you already know. So I did a party. My sister had hired me to do a party, and I just had one reading after another. It was pretty scary at first,
Wow.
but I just trust. It's all about trust.
Mm-hmm.
Trust and just knowing that, your guides are there and they're going to help you. And after I did that, it was like, wow, okay. Because you don't always know. You don't always know really when you're first starting out doing this. You don't have that like confidence of, okay, what I'm going to say is going to work or it's going to be the
Yeah.
right thing. And as humans, we are very guarded in like not wanting to be wrong and not want to, look
Yeah.
look bad or, I learned a long time ago though, and I think this helped me not to put a lot of like the way I feel or think into what somebody else feels or thinks, and that helps,
Yeah.
but we're still human. That's still kind of human nature. So, but
Yeah.
that really did help. So practice is where it's at.
I was just going to ask that question as well. How do you ensure that the information you're getting is not affected by your bias?
So that is a good question because you can have your own filters, and we all do. Okay, this is the ego that gets in the way. And when you were talking about clearing the mind earlier, something that you can do is meditate, and you don't. Now, I want to say you don't have to meditate to be able to do this, but it does help get a little control over the mind. Pushing your own ego away and letting spirit come in. And again, it's just about getting used to that feeling of
Mm-hmm.
as you do it, you feel that this isn't me, this is spirit. And I'm not perfect, nobody is. So there are times that maybe it will come in, but usually it's going to be the wrong answer, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I have found that that gets less and less the more you do it, of course, because you get more and more to where you just know the difference in
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of what's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Does
yeah.
does Erik help you like when you're on the show, especially in the beginning? Did he kind of like give you pep talks or anything? Because
Yeah,
he's a funny guy.
he did. He did. He did a lot of stuff. I kind of think about how I was in the beginning when I was first trying to learn, and I would get frustrated and I'd be
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, come on, just, because when you see a medium, you think it looks like they're just like getting word for word. And
Yeah.
they're like you're on the phone with somebody, right? Or you have a
Yeah.
movie show going. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like that's an expectation you have to get rid of right now if anybody out there wants to be a psychic medium, because it doesn't work that way. Um, it's a combination of your clairs and how they come in and how the
Mhm.
information comes in. But something he would do was he would raise my vibration, which that was
Uh,
learning for me in the first place. In the very beginning, that was hard because I didn't realize what was happening to me. There's a lot of things you learn along the way, like what a vibration is or what a frequency is, inside you. And I thought I was having panic attacks. And then I realized I hear him say, no, 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 that's me, just raising your vibration. So I would say in the beginning, he was a lot more active in as a teacher even though he's still a teacher, but I see it that way. I would see him more as a teacher, as in teaching me things, more so in the beginning than now. Like now it's like, okay, we got this kind of like if you go on a job and they train you, they're
Yeah,
training you
I
on
was
the
just
job.
going to say, it's almost as if Erik was helping you prepare for
Mhm.
what the two of you were going to be doing together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's there
Exactly.
with you now, isn't he?
He is. He is.
What does he say?
Absolutely. Yeah. So he's just kind of being he's kind of being silly, and what he's saying is he's like, now give yourself more credit. Give yourself more credit, you know.
Well,
And that's typical Erik. That's typical Erik. He wants, you know, you to take the credit for it, but he needs the credit too. He does.
right,
Definitely.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Erik is a fascinating soul, and how fortunate we are to have him and mediums like you that can bring him forward and let us feel the love and kind of help steer us a little bit. Can we ask Erik a question now?
Absolutely.
So hopefully, Erik and you can help us understand what on earth is going on right now, not only with the United States, but what is going on worldwide. There is a huge change happening, a huge shift, lots of fear, lots of anger, lots of attempts to harness power.
Mhm.
And that is starting to affect a lot of us and our energy. A lot of us are trying to stay centered. A lot of us are trying to stay balanced. We're trying to continue to shine our light, but it's hard right now. So, what advice can Erik give us at this point?
So, just to let viewers know that I do automatic writing too. So if I'm like, you know, look like I'm writing something, that's why. I just want to let them know that. But so something that he is bringing in right now is he's talking about choices and the importance of our own choices of how we choose to react and act to things. You know, how we react to something, or how you act without thinking first. I mean, he's listing, there's a lot of things, you know, that you learn and you grow with and you experience going through something like this, because there's two things. You're connected to the collective, okay, which is everybody. We're all one.
Right.
And then we have our individuality of how we choose to let things affect us. So there's little lessons in that too. But when it comes to a big change, things that are needing to go in a certain direction for evolving, you know, as humans and as a society itself, you're going to have what would you call it, like a breakdown of a system. And
Mm-hmm.
to have a breakdown of a system, you have to have things not quite right, like seem right from yourself. So I don't want to use right and wrong as something in a way
Right.
either,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is necessary.
Sure.
But for the sake of this conversation, he's saying you have to look at it as things are going to align themselves just right, but they're not going to seem like they're right, if that makes sense in
Mm-hmm.
our eyes, because it's
Mm-hmm.
perspective. So it will teach people to change their perspective. It'll teach people to not have that fear, you know. And the number one thing that he's really pushing right now is surrender, let go of control. It's an illusion. You don't have any. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's probably going to sound like, okay, you know, then just give up and not do anything, not have an opinion. But that's not what that means. It means not to hold it so deep within that it tears you down.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you have a choice. You have a choice with things, but you don't have the control of how that turns out. You only have the control of how you let that affect you once it does go a certain direction. These are things that we're learning as a collective and as individuals, because we're ascending to a higher place eventually that is going to be so different, you know, and that's on an individual basis too. Not everybody's going to ascend at the same rate. You know, it's not like someday we're all going to wake up, it's going to be paradise or something. It's not
It,
like that.
I've heard that, and as we were talking a little bit before the show today, uh, this switch, this change that's happening, and I'll ask you, Ginger, what you think about it. The shift from I'm sorry, from three. Did I call you Ginger or Jennifer?
You come, Ginger.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Eric's helping
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this change, is this something that's going to happen within us? Or is there absolutely going to be a physical change as well? Because it's hard for us to understand it, because as much as we would like to be in 5D right now, there are aspects of us that have to be 3D because we're humans and we're surviving on this planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for us to know how this is going to take place. Can
Well,
Eric give us an idea?
Yeah, so what he's showing me is when you have change within you as an individual, okay, obviously that changes the outside too. So an example would be making better choices, communicating with each other better, because if you're changed inside, then you can be better as a person in a way of how you communicate with others or how you make choices about things. So try to think of it as it will be an individual change, but with that is going to come an external change. So I was trying to give him to give me like an example. So if somebody, so you know what, he's got all this stuff coming really fast. Sorry.
I'm sure.
So
Well,
like, have you ever seen what is it, like the test they do where you have water and you put like a mean word on it and you're freezing the water
Yeah.
and it shows the
oh,
different.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
Okay, so he's showing like when a person changes their energy and who they are and they ascend within, that changes things on the outside too. Like it has an effect on the energies around them and whatever's connected to them. So if the collective is changing and individuals are changing, then in turn we're all evolving to a place, and it'll be external and it'll be internal. Um, it's going to be a place with less pollution. It's going to be a place where people don't have so much conflict. Having said that, he says, we will still always on this planet have some form of conflict because that's what Earth is. There's many other Earth places that are like this, and it's a lower, more dense energy for us to learn and grow from. Because as spirit, we're perfect. We don't yearn for anything. We don't yearn to grow. We don't need anything. So you don't get as much growth with that. You still can help and you can stand, that brings growth, but it's not the same as suffering or struggling brings.
So we almost have to learn to stay somewhat separate from the collective consciousness, which may be lower than a lower vibration than
Mhm.
our personal vibration. Is that
Right.
what he's saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's going to happen naturally. It's not really like you have to think about it. He says it's going to happen naturally.
Okay.
So, and it's not going to be like 5D is almost like a spiritual perfection in a way. And when they say 5D, it's not going to be the same type of 5D as a spirit. You're still going to have physical. You're still going to have
Right.
a physical world, but we're going to communicate telepathically.
Mhm.
If I was to say, which I never would do this, but if I was to say, reach out and hit somebody, that would hurt me at the same time. So we're going to feel immediately what we do to others, whether it's physical or emotional, whatever it is, that energy that we put off to somebody else, positive or negative, it comes back right away. So it's going to get more and more. And then in that way, you're also going to be careful about what you do because you're
Yeah.
affecting yourself. Now, we already do this. We already affect each other like this. There's just not that awareness of it always. And that's why we're
I,
more
I've
in
had
3D.
I've had some people say to me, well, I want to stay in a higher vibration, but I also feel like I need to make a difference by going out and protesting or that sort of thing. And some people have asked my advice, and I have just told them, you are absolutely.
Friend calling me. So sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
I
It's all
thought I
right.
turned that off. Okay, go ahead.
But you are absolutely welcome to go and protest if this is what you feel like you need to do. Figure out a way to do it and keep your vibration high.
Right.
Don't go with hate. Don't go with anger. just go and keep your vibration in the light shining.
Right, right.
Mhm.
That's great. That's a great way to put it because that's true. Because we are always going to have things happening outside of us. But when we
Yeah.
get to that point of how we let it affect us, that's
Mhm.
where the difference is. The world can burn down around you. I've heard Erik tell me this many times. This is something he has said. The world could be burning down around you, but you still have that trust and that faith and that belief in everything's going to be all right. It doesn't mean stay in the fire. You still get active and get out of it, but it means you don't let it take you down like oh my gosh, panic or worry or stress. You just know it's going to be all right and you make the next move that needs to be made.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so it sounds like your psychic abilities, or you or anybody's psychic abilities can actually help them cope and with
Hmm.
personal growth and so on and so forth. So
Definitely.
so people should kind of maybe look to see if they can tune in a little more.
Right, right. And people are. It's becoming more mainstream now. You don't have to learn to tune in or be aware, like you're saying. You don't have to do it for a job to be a psychic
Yeah,
medium.
yeah,
Do it to be just have that awareness to where you see things in a different perspective in a way of that's more peaceful for you
Mhm.
inside.
Yeah.
Find your peace.
And
And
I've
and we
also
will. Sorry, I was just gonna say, and we will be there eventually.
Mhm.
That's the direction we're going.
mhm. I have also heard and been told that we have to be very careful of our emotions.
Mhm.
That if we can understand the difference between our feelings and our emotions, that will help us and help guide us toward that ascension as well.
Mhm.
Emotions are different than feelings. Um, am I right?
They are. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Sometimes emotions can be somebody else's too. You know, you can go into a room, get very anxious, start feeling sad or angry. I mean, these are things that happen to people that, I mean, we're all, have that empathic ability, but some are stronger than others and they take it on as their own.
Mm-hmm.
These are still learning, they're learning paths still, but it is, and that is the only thing we have control over
Mm-hmm.
is our emotions and how we react and how,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we let things affect us. So it is a difference.
I mentioned this on a previous podcast. Quantum physics has been able to prove a thing that's referred to as the observer effect. And
Mm,
they now know that tiny particles can be observed and it will change how those particles react, how they move, how they expand.
hmm
It's fascinating. So
hmm
think in terms of that when we're thinking about our thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the thoughts always come back to perspective. So the way
Mm-hmm.
that you see that move, each person may see the ball, the particle bounce. Because I've seen like where they put like a shadow of a ball and then, they've shown that experiment, like what you're talking
Yeah.
about. So somebody might see that it bounces a little and somebody might see that it turns a little. So there's
Right.
perspective in that too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So along that's those same lines, there's a lot of negativity in the world, and right now, there's like this split that's going on, and the
Hmm.
negative is a little bit more negative, and the non-negative is a little bit more higher vibration. How do you suggest, you or Eric or both, suggest that someone can protect themselves or keep that out of their energy, don't let it infiltrate, be able to remain autonomous to that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Well, that I think comes back to control again. Eric is showing with control, controlling how you let things affect you, knowing that you don't, and then the knowing of not having control over how others act or react, think, feel, or say. We have no control over that of somebody else. Um, he says that you only have control how you react to it. And so, with that happening, that's part of it, he says, watching how you let things affect you. And the other part is having understanding, seeing things from other people's point of view. Doesn't mean that you have to take their view, but kind of see where people are coming from with things. Um, yeah, he's showing that they will learn from you. He's showing like you can set that example, and then others can learn from you. Even if you may not see it with your eyes right away, it will eventually show itself, is how he's showing it. So
So you
you
don't
just
have
got to
to
use it.
actually protect yourself, like put up a protective barrier, an
Right.
energetic
You
one.
you you don't, but you can if you feel like you need to. Okay.
Okay.
So something you can do with the barrier, and there's many people that do different ways, do whatever feels comfortable. Okay. Um, encircle yourself with divine light. Okay. If you don't know your guides, you can just say guides or universe or God or whatever you want to ask that's bigger than yourself, because that kind of helps to encircle you with divine light and only let in what is needed for your highest good. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those are all visuals and they do work and they do make a difference. But the big lesson, he says, is learning how to get control over your own in a way,
Okay.
and get understanding. Yeah.
So, Ginger,
Hmm.
you're also a nutritionist.
Yes.
Okay. And
Hmm.
how I would think that with all the craziness that's going on right now and trying to keep our vibrations high, it's important for us to pay attention to our health and how we
Hmm.
eat and how we're treating our bodies.
Right.
What can you say to that?
Well, if you're eating things that are not making you feel too good, then you're going to be short-tempered. If you're not eating, enough of the right things, that also will change your mood, change your vibration. Um, I would say that it's a little bit of it. It's not the whole picture, but nutrition is important, very important. Exercise is another part of it. Everybody, and that word's probably like taboo, exercise, right, for some people, but it can be something you enjoy. So it's movement. So let's change the exercise word to movement. Just get movement in your life, keep active. Anything is better than nothing.
And
So
motion is lotion, right?
right, and so you want to move anyway because this helps your energy flow. You don't want to be stagnant where you sit a lot. Someone who maybe is like a couch potato, we'll use that for an example. Eric says, they just don't have that. They just get less and less energetic. It just gets more and more the wrong way if they don't do something about it. But when it comes to dealing with anything, health is very important. Health is
Mhm.
number one, really. And that can be anything. It can be nutrition, it can be exercise, or some people deal with diseases and illnesses and injuries, and if you ever noticed, Eric is showing somebody's body that isn't like complete or whole in their mind, let's say it like that, okay, in their mind, they struggle the most. People that have the
Right.
health problems, and they struggle the most with
Yeah.
anything else. It just makes everything else harder. Now, when
Because
I
they're
say
making that their reality.
right,
Okay.
right. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to be insensitive to it because I deal with health issues myself. But if you make that your
Fo-
number one focus, if
focus.
you
Yeah.
make that, that's who you are. You make it about, that's me. I'm that person with a broken leg or an illness of whatever it is, and you make it all about that. First of all, you're encouraging it to stay, because we can heal ourselves 100%. We can. It's all vibration. um some things are needed for your journey, though. So
Right.
that goes to say, we can't, you can heal yourselves, but sometimes things are going to encourage you to stay on that path, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that can, I'm listening to what he's saying here. He's showing me. So this is something that can make or break you, he says. Can make or break you. You can
Uh,
be your disease, or you can be somebody who's not going to get taken from it, even if you have it. It doesn't mean it has to be gone. It means you don't let it like justify who you are, or rule you, or run your life in a
Mhm.
way. Okay. This also can be brought up with victim mentality. Some
yeah.
people can be there without realizing it. Most of the time they are. Just make sure that your focus in life is about the most positive things you can. Now that's easier said than done. You can't always be positive, because we need negative, for balance and growth on that spectrum,
Sure.
but always shoot for it, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, always make that your goal.
Right. Again, it goes back to manifestation and
Mhm.
what we'd like to believe. Um, can you tell us what what do you see, Ginger? And maybe Erik can help with this. I know you've talked about this on Channeling Erik
Mm.
regarding health and healthcare and traditional
Mm.
medicine. What part do you see that playing in our society? And how will it change, hopefully, over the next 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah, it definitely is changing now. It's always going to be necessary when there's a broken bone, something that you need Western medicine for. Using that as example, he says. But there's definitely change coming in a way of more healing, learning to heal ourselves on a um what would you call metabolic level, like, in a way, like learning to change things with the way you feel, with your energies, with your thought. This is going to be something in the future where he shows me these centers, okay, and everything in this center, and it's going to be more than this, but this is just what I can comprehend right now, because it's something we don't have yet. But he shows me like centers where you will go in, and instead of going like over to the doctor, you will go into these centers. There'll be people that help you, like coaching, like life coaching, people that do healing, any kind of healing modalities that you want, right? Whether that be scalar, okay, or acupuncture, or whatever it may be. But they're going to be centers to where they have these all inside. It's interesting. He shows it not like a mall. It's like, I think of it like a mall, but it's not really a mall. It's like
Right.
like a medical center,
Right.
but it's
Right.
more, yeah, it's more holistic, and it's more um spiritual, and it's going to be the norm. He says this will be more than normal for people. The Western medicine is going to combine too. Therapists,
Oh,
which
nice.
Julian, we've talked about that. Therapists are going to be better at, tuning in spiritually and bringing in some spiritual information too
Mhm.
within their therapy sessions. But it's going to combine together, um, to be one, and the same. So.
That's fascinating to me. And Jennifer and I both, in our practice as hypnotherapists, we
Mhm.
are help people understand their bodies better and what's working well, what's not working so well. And they and their guides tell us what and help us see what's there that they need to
Right.
work on. So I'm sort of seeing that as part of that center, as a way that people can heal.
Right, absolutely. It's going to be also, you go to the doctor, they write you a script, right? Kind of thing. That's going to be obsolete. That's not going to be something way down the road. Not tomorrow, not 10 years from now, but down the road. It'll be to that point where people are going to be healing themselves and learning to heal themselves. There will also be teaching. Like you'll have places where you get taught, where you can go and learn how to be one of these professionals, like you go to learn to be a nurse or you learn to be a doctor. They already have this, but there'll be more. It's really going to help society as a whole on also personal levels, you know, whether and political. I also see him showing me like the political ways that we have are going to be changing too. Some negative, but some positive, because we have to have that, you know, on the spectrum. We have to have that full spectrum of it, you
So
know, the duality.
I was going to say, so will a duality, is that something that will be present in a 5D world?
It will. It will, because if we didn't have it, it would mean that there's not a lot of growth or learning, because you have to have
The dark in order to understand the light.
right, exactly. You have to have some kind of resistance to get strong, right? Like when you're working out for strength training, you
Yeah.
have to have a resistance to strengthen you. So there has to be that. Um, but it's not forever. You know, a lot of people don't see beyond this world, but this is just a tiny little part of who we are,
Mhm.
you know? There's more
Yeah.
to us than this. So this is just
Absolutely.
a school. Think of it as a school, learning and teaching, experience, human experience.
Yeah. So I know that this is becoming more and more popular, in the United States, at least. I don't know about other countries. I know a lot of people looking into alternative modalities in
Hmm.
general. And I think that the collective is just feeling this pull towards what everything that you just talked about, like
Hmm.
eventually being able to communicate on a whole different level. Um, but I know that there's also a lot of misconceptions that are present around what you do specifically about,
Hmm.
the being psychic and your intuitive work. Is there anything that you'd like to say to address this so that people can understand it more readily?
Okay, so I would. So it's a good question, really good question. There are people out there that are skeptic, and that's okay. You know, we need that. I
Yeah,
would never try to convince somebody that what I'm doing is real or they should believe me. I also would say that anybody who ever seeks out to go see a psychic medium should always remember, and this includes me, that any of them can, you know, make mistakes. So
yeah,
follow what resonates with you with what they say. Don't always just think, okay, they have that title, so I believe everything they say, because that's not how it works. Um, and I wouldn't want somebody to do that, you know. But those who are skeptical, one thing that I would do if they were asking, okay, is I would show them their ability. I'd say, this is your ability. This is what you can do. And I would show them what
Ah,
they could do. And then they would see, okay, this is within everybody, because it is about that. We are spirits having a human experience. So everybody has the ability to have their intuition and pay attention to it.
yeah,
So that's what I would do. I would show them that. So ask. I would say my answer to that is ask if you're curious, if you don't believe, you know, inquire about it,
hmm,
learn more about it, you know, and then try to have an open mind, because there are a lot of history, things in history that have said, don't listen, you know, to that.
oh
That's
yeah,
fake. That's not real.
yeah,
And there are fake people out
yeah,
there. So that doesn't always, you know, that doesn't help
yeah,
us that much, but it's okay, because there are always going to be somebody who's going to try to fake something in some
yeah,
kind of line of work, you know,
hmm,
um, if they can. So I would just say ask about, ask about it, inquire more, learn more, get more understanding of it before you make your decision or choice about it.
wow.
very good.
Mhm.
It's just also fascinating. And I know as light workers, sometimes we want to jump the gun, so to speak, and we want to get out there and heal everybody.
Mhm.
But again, it goes back to what we were discussing. We have to be careful of that because we need to honor other individuals' contracts. And maybe that's part of their journey is to be deeply involved with a belief system that tells them how to think and how to believe. And you have to sort of allow that to happen naturally for them to learn.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Erik has said many times, people that are looking for help, like people that are so desperate and they're struggling so badly and they're looking for help, and like, please, somebody help me, take this away, heal this, whatever it may be. Always remember that things that are happening, they happen for you, not to you. Think of it that way.
Right.
He's said that many times. And know that nobody, even spirit on the other side, nobody can come in and change your journey and alter your path, because it's for you and you need to learn from it, what's going on. And if there's something you are here to experience, it's for sure going to be put on your path. If you're supposed to learn how to deal with communication, if you're supposed to communicate better, you're going to have people on your path that challenge that.
Right.
So yeah. How else can you learn, right?
I cannot believe how quickly this hour has gone by.
Oh, I know. I
mean, I feel like we could do this for another 2 hours. Right. Jennifer, you too, but Ginger, we'd love to have you back sometimes if you'd be willing.
I'd love it.
There's so many things. And Erik, you too, bless your heart. Sweet boy.
Yeah. I'm there.
Good. Good.
Is there anything that Erik wanted to say in parting?
So he's talking about how a lot of light workers have come in at this time for a reason. And they've came in to help the shift, per se. It's not the only reason, but just to kind of help that shift that we're going through. They bring understanding, to help bring understanding to it, and healing too. Okay. Something he says that can help is just be aware of others around you. Don't be so quick to judge. Try to keep that judgment off the table. And remember that every human being is pretty similar in the way that they're, thinking or feeling when it comes to connection with another human being. So try to see it from another's point of view, he says, like maybe an action if somebody's upset or angry. It's all coming from pain in a way, or fear. And so try to see that, try to get understanding more. And always be your authentic self, he says. He's like, that's the only way.
There it is. There it is again. Our last podcast.
And I get chills head to toe.
That
when
word
he does that.
That word authenticity is so important. We talked about it in the last podcast too.
Yeah.
That is almost everything. And keeping in mind, like Erik said, that we are all connected.
Oh yeah.
So if you are seeing or hearing somebody with a different belief, that is a facet of you. Really and truly. Yeah. So
right. Most people see themselves as separate. That's part of the ascension, learning that we're not. We are one. That took me a while. Not that I didn't accept it, but just to get that like in my head of what does that really mean? To be one. We all come from the same source. We are connected in a way of feeling each other, and that's why things can get heated. And when he talks about being authentic, something that he says is there's fear in that. So try to get rid of the fear, and it's easier said than done, of course. And he says, try to remember it doesn't matter, because your unique way, no matter if you feel like you might be off or odd or a weirdo, okay? That's how I always felt. All right.
Yeah.
Just be your authentic self, because others are going to relate to it because they feel the same way. They have the same fears you do. So, yeah.
One of my favorite quotes from Dolores Cannon is, fear is for entertainment purposes only.
That's good.
I actually have that. I have a t-shirt that says that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So Ginger, we'd like to thank you again so very much for being a guest
thank you
today. And I'll put your contact information in the description box below so that people can go ahead and go to your website and see more about you, and then also book a session.
Great.
And For those of you who are watching, please remember to like and subscribe and put into the comments what type of healing modalities you would like for us to cover on this show, because remember, we are here for you. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Souls on Tap.